Good morning. Today is the 10th of November, 2023. My name is David Pyle, and I'm interviewing Gunnery Sergeant Ray Rodriguez at the Rocky Mountain Regional VA Medical Center in Aurora, Colorado, as part of the Remembering Our Veterans program. So Ray, thanks very much for being here today. Really appreciate your taking time to do it.
Thank you.
So if you would, sir, could you tell me a bit about your childhood, where you're from and where you grew up, etc.?
Well, actually, I was born in Lubbock, Texas, but when I was just, I don't know, probably a month old, 2 months old, my mother separated from my natural father and moved up. I think they got a divorce at the time. And she moved up with all the kids and myself up to Fort Collins. Actually, the first time was Longmont.
Okay.
That's where her mother was and her father. Moved up to Longmont and then moved up to Fort Collins. And that's where I was raised, was Fort Collins.
That was a pretty good place to grow up, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was a nice, small town then.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it's grown a lot over the years.
Yes, it has.
Incredibly so, but it's a really nice little place. I like Fort Collins a lot, actually. It's like, so you went through school there then, grade school and high school?
Yes, I did. I went through Remington and Harris and Lesher and Fort Collins High.
Okay, great. Any special activities that you're involved in there? Sports or anything?
Just volleyball, I think.
Okay.
That's the only thing I did this time.
So how old were you then when you went in the military? What motivated you to go into the Marines there?
Actually, it was at the end of our school year, and my best friend and I, his name was Phil, and he had a brother named Mike, and he was already in the Marine Corps. And we both decided to go into the military. And we challenged each other to go into the Marine Corps instead of one of the other services. And so that's what we signed up for, about May of 1973, near the end of the school.
Right, you got it straight out of high school. You went
Yes,
in.
sir.
Where'd you do your basic training?
We went to San Diego, California.
Okay.
And no, we're not Hollywood Marines. It's just as tough there as anywhere.
Paris Island, whatever, all that whole thing. Well, so what did you do in the Marines then? You had a whole career there, but
after I left boot camp, well, while I was in boot camp, there's one thing I remember always about boot camp, and that was when the drill instructors took us out to where all the sand was, and there was a deep hole there. And they marched us all the way into the deep hole. There was sand down there too, and they told us to grab the sand. And of course, after marching and everything, we were all sweating. And they asked us to make it rain with the sand. So we made it rain. Of course, we had to take a shower after that, but it was funny in a way.
God,
so,
typical drill instructor.
Oh yeah,
crap there. Like, well,
because we were all messing up.
Yeah.
March.
What about your advanced training then? What?
Well, there were two things. First, I went to the junior course. At the time, it was MOS 3072. Later on, it changed to, and it was aviation supply, and it changed to 6672, which all the 6000s were aviation. I came out as first in the class, and I got promoted to Lance Corp. I think it was only a month after I picked up PFC, so I was pretty proud of that.
I'm sure you were. That's first in your class, then.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so did you spend a lot of time then, as far as in the aviation section of the Marines there?
Yes, I did.
That was pretty much where you stayed for your career then?
Yes, I did. In my whole career in the aviation supply field, we supported the jets. Back then, it was the F-14s, etc. They didn't have any of the other jets out there.
So where were, in terms of the bases, as far as air bases, whatever, where were you posted then?
The instructor came in to the junior course and said, well, guess what? Looked at all of us, pointed to all of us. Do you want to know where your duty station is? And we all said, yes, sir, yes, sir. He said, pointed at all of us, said, you're going to Beaufort. So are all the rest of you. So we went to Beaufort, South Carolina.
Really? Okay.
We all went to Beaufort, South Carolina.
And you spent most of your career there?
No, I spent 4 years there, and I was married in between then. After Beaufort, South Carolina, I went to Marine Corps Air Station, Iwakuni, Japan, for a year.
How was your experience in Japan?
Well, basically the same. I enjoyed doing the aviation supply part, supporting the jets back at that base as well. And Mama-san, the person who came in and did different odd things, would set up different journeys for us to go on. And we'd go to different towns, different cities, and we ended up one time in Hiroshima. And I meant to bring those pictures, but I didn't. And it showed all of Hiroshima. They had pictures in this museum of how the one building still showed the dome,
Right.
the iron of the dome. And then they had pictures of the people, how they looked walking down the road. And that was terrible.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now I hear that the United States has a bomb that's 24 times that.
It's what?
It's 24 times the atom bomb that landed in Hiroshima.
Yeah.
So,
it's yeah, that's deeply concerning, and maybe another conversation there for sure. Yeah,
yes, of course.
That's true. Well, and you've also had other overseas duties then as well.
Yes, I did.
You want to tell us about that, about Beirut?
This is in, well, in 1982, I had gotten a divorce from my first wife, and also that same year, but about 6 months later, I met this woman named Muriel, and eventually we got married. And she had one daughter, and I had 3 children. I was the president of the SOP, which Single Parents Organization, SPO, I mean.
Okay.
Single Parents Organization I created. And this was in Jacksonville, North Carolina, where I was stationed at the time. And I had traveled all over the United States at different Marine Corps air stations by then. And eventually we got married with the 4 children, and we grew up all together. All my children are grown up now and on their own, except for my son. He passed away in 2004 from an auto accident that he was in, up in near Timnah, Colorado. So
that's difficult. This is your son
this
here?
This is he.
Yeah. Good-looking kid.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's really difficult to lose a child like that.
Oh, yeah.
Really, I'm sure. Well, so you were over in the Middle East as well then?
Yes, in 1983, in May of 1983, we were assigned to squadron, or I was assigned, and so were other people assigned to Squadron 162, and which was going overseas to help with the so-called peacekeeping mission in Beirut, Lebanon. But it didn't turn out that way. We all got on the ship, Iwo Jima, USS Iwo Jima.
Is it a battleship?
No, it's a LPH, landing platform helicopter.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so we were supporting helicopters at that time. So then at that time they were calling it S6. That's what they called it. So we were S6. we floated over to the Mediterranean, then eventually to the East Mediterranean, where Beirut, Lebanon was. We were doing our part as far as supporting, and then October 23rd, 1983, we heard a big blast. It wasn't close, but we did hear it. And then we heard the sirens. All hands on deck. All hands on deck. So we all ended up on the hangar deck, and they were already flying in Marines, and so one or two sailors, I think, were on there too. They were already wounded. I assisted one staff sergeant that had his left side of his head blown off, and I wrapped his head up because he was already bleeding. It was too wet to keep it, so I had to unwrap him and wrap his head back up. And that was a terrible sight to see as well.
I'm sure.
Yeah. But I did it. I kept my strength up. Then they asked if anyone wanted to go ashore. I said, I will. I volunteered for that. So we flew ashore. At first I did a little bit of guard duty. And then after that, I raised my hand again to do grave registration. So, and that was hard to do as well. But the men were in there, put in their black bags, and we carried them to a hangar down the road, a ground hangar, and put them in aluminum coffins. We stacked them in there. Then later, we put American flags on them, on top of them, and waited for I think it was a C-130 or C-140, I don't recall, to come for us to put them on that aircraft, to take them home to their families. So we did, and that was hard too. Because we really felt for the families, knowing that they're coming home.
There were 241.
241 Marines, yes, sir.
But, no, I remember that distinctly when that happened. I was like, that was a barracks, was it? And,
yes, sir. The terrorists,
yeah.
Hezbollah, I believe,
Really? Yeah.
had a bomb-laden truck
Yeah.
that drove right past the guard, speeding right past the guard and hit the barracks. So but it was just like an atom bomb because the plume came up.
Yeah.
We saw the plume come up, and it was just like an atom bomb because it had so many tons of.
Yeah, I'm sure that was incredibly traumatic, you know, to have to go around that and work with that, and particularly with survivors, whatever, or even just carrying out those who were killed, whatever. Like, those things are overwhelming. They can be, for sure. Like,
before that, I used to go back and forth. We'd take turns.
Yeah.
S6 would take turns going ashore.
Yeah.
Just like every other division. We'd take turns going ashore and enjoy a movie or something else.
Yeah.
Of course, we couldn't have any liquor.
Right.
But we would sleep in tents that were near the barracks. And I would lay there and count the holes in the top of the tent. Well, the next morning I would count them again, and there were more.
From what?
From someone shooting at us.
Oh, was
Probably
that right?
Hezbollah. Yeah.
Yeah, really? Okay.
So we never knew what would happen. So that's
Well,
another thing.
Yeah, I tell you, it's really concerning what's going on there now as well. What's going on in Israel,
And it was terrible.
And getting Beirut back into there, or whatever Lebanese, you know, and Hezbollah and all that. But,
Hamas and Hezbollah.
Yeah, all of that, you know, it's like it's deeply concerning as well. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So, what about what other things? Kind of things from, let's see. So
Yeah,
how much time did you spend overall overseas then, as far as part of your career?
I went on another deployment on a ship just for a short time, I believe, in 1986.
Okay.
Uh, but that was it. After that, we didn't go anywhere that uh, there were any conflicts going on or anything. So Beirut was the biggest thing that I
Yeah.
encountered.
That was a big thing.
It's big enough.
Big enough, exactly. But
So,
well, so did you work primarily with jets or helicopters or what? I see the helicopters on your
both of
hat.
them,
Both
jets
of them.
and helicopters.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But, well, what kind of work were you involved in as far as maintenance and things, or
No,
arming them,
we
or
supplied all the parts that the jets needed that they couldn't fly if they didn't have.
uh,
That either went out or parts on different machinery that on the jets that needed small parts or big parts, even all the way up to the engines. And we would supply those items to them so the maintenance guys could repair them.
okay.
So we had a whole warehouse that was filled with everything they needed. I mean, it was huge.
So is this more administration kind of thing that you were involved in, as far as whatever the requisition of the parts and things, and then you would I don't know what your part was, I mean, in terms of these warehouses or whatever, just how you would
I guess in a sense it was administrative, but not the warehouse part. That was more,
picking them up and getting them out there and things,
yeah,
and
that was pretty good. They had to be fast.
yeah, yeah,
And they had to get it there to get those jets back up for
yeah,
training
yeah.
purposes. Except for overseas, they had to be immediate.
Yeah, no, I'm sure of that for sure. Well, so so what's your probably obviously your most vivid memory would have been Beirut. I'm sure of
Yes,
that.
that
But any other things that really come to mind, Ben, that were particularly significant for you?
um, let me begin with this. I was stationed in Beaufort, South Carolina, like I said, for after my first junior training. After that, I went to Tustin, California, Marine Corps Air Station, Tustin, California. Then I got out for a few months. I was a deputy sheriff of Laramie County up north
Hmm.
for a little while. Then I came back in. While I was a deputy sheriff, I had a chase on a warrant. The guy didn't come out. He ran out the back door and started driving out. He drove all the way from Loveland to Fort Collins, and he ended up at the Laramie County Sheriff's Department. And he had at least 10 deputies surrounding him
Is that right?
with their guns drawn, including me.
That's
So
incredible.
anyway, I went back into the Marine Corps a few months
How
later.
long were you out between tours?
About a year.
About a year,
Mhm.
yeah.
So I went back in, and that's when I went to Jacksonville, North Carolina, met my second wife. And then after that, and Beirut, etc. After that, we all went to Marine Corps Air Station, Tustin, California. And we enjoyed it. We loved it out there. It was beautiful. In fact, my two youngest, my stepdaughter and my youngest daughter, claim that as their home state.
Really? Okay. That's funny. Are they back out here now, or?
My stepdaughter and my ex-wife, she's my ex-wife now.
Your second wife was your ex-wife
Ex-wife
as
as
well?
well, yeah. Lives in Collinsville, Illinois now.
Okay.
I'll explain that later. And my two daughters live here in Denver. They're on their own, have their own families,
Sure.
etc.
Yeah. So do you have another current wife?
No,
No?
no, I don't.
You gave up on
I'm single
Yeah.
and looking.
Yeah, I hear you. That's like that's something. That's like so any What do you think was about the best part of your service experience?
I think the best part of my service was getting awarded the award certificates that I received for being the best in the squadron as far as the aviation
You've
supply.
got a number of certificates here and diplomas. You allowed to tell us about that?
I don't have the ones that I have for meritorious masks.
Okay.
I didn't bring those. I had at least 7 meritorious masks
Really?
that were awarded to me for doing a great job at that division. I didn't bring those. But when I was in Tustin, California, I was getting ready to leave. Near the time I was ready to retire, I was in one division, and I got a plaque, but I couldn't find it for some reason. I don't know where it was. It was from, and the troops in that division called me Gunny, of course, and it said, from the Gunny Bunch, that's what they called it. And it was a nice little plaque. I should have found it. I don't know where it was. But this is the plaque that I got when I retired.
Yeah.
So right here.
Yeah, here you go. That's great, Ray. That's like, yeah.
I'm missing a few ribbons, but
Well, I tell you what, you certainly, for 20 years, and a gunnery sergeant, that's making rank fairly quickly in some ways, is not?
actually, when I came back in, I lost one rank. I had to make sergeant twice and staff sergeant twice.
Really?
I was a staff sergeant when I got out. So that's
Yeah.
what retreads get when you get out.
The retreads.
That's what they call us
Yeah,
when we
right,
get out,
exactly.
come back in.
I forgot about that.
But I did make it to gunnery sergeant before I retired.
Yeah, that's great. That's very impressive, like do that in 20 years. And I know it's not easy to make rank in the Marines particularly.
Oh, I know.
It's pretty challenging there for sure.
I think my meritorious masks and some of my rewards, ribbons, helped me out.
Yeah. So tell me, you've got a lot of stuff written down here. I was just sort of curious as to what kind of things did you want to cover any of that? Or
I pretty much covered most everything.
Are we doing it okay?
Except for Beaufort, South Carolina. I'm sorry. After Tustin, Carolina, Tustin, California. While I was there, I was got orders to Meridian, Mississippi, because when I was in Meridian, I went to the senior course of my aviation supply instruction, and I also came out #1 in that course. So after I did that, I went back to Tustin, and I had known the commanding officer. He was a lieutenant colonel then at the time, since he was a second lieutenant.
Really? No.
And we pretty much went from station to station about the same time, or near the same time. First lieutenant, captain, etc. on the way up, major.
Sure.
And at the time, he was a major, and he chose me to go back to Meridian, Mississippi, to be an instructor. So I was a senior instructor, and I taught all the sergeants to master gunnery or master sergeants the senior course. And while I was there with my partner as well, he was a staff sergeant at the time too. We rewrote the whole course because it wasn't updated to use computers. We had already gotten into computers because it was in the late 80s, 89 to 92, I think.
During that whole period, yeah.
So we got the computers and requested from him to allow us to get them. And he got them in the senior course. And for each individual, they could sit right in front of it. They could process things right in front of it without just looking at the book.
Yeah, that was a great thing. That was like, particularly during that time there, it was like, I think it was So you saw it go from that whole analog system to the whole digital thing as far as
Right.
just the,
From
and setting
mechanized
that
to the
whole thing up.
automated. Yeah.
That must have been a tremendous undertaking to do something like that, I'm sure. Like, let's see.
Well, after that, we went back to Tustin, California.
So what about these other citations or whatever, these diplomas that you've got there? You want to share those with us?
Let me tell you one thing. When I retired, my family and I went, well, I guess I had chose. I thought I had told my wife about it, but I think I did, but she never, maybe she didn't answer me. Maybe we should go to Albuquerque, New Mexico, because it was starting to get to be a pretty good growing town. And so we moved to Albuquerque, bought a home. But one day she left back to her hometown, Collinsville. That's pretty much everything I think I had. But while I was out, after I retired, or before I was retired as well, actually while I was in the Marine Corps, I had joined the different groups. One was the Paralyzed Veterans of America. That's the oldest one I have. And I have a certificate from them of loyalty of support, and supporting them since the 80s, I believe.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Good on you.
And the Colorado Tree Arbor Foundation, I've supported them for quite a few years. The World War II Museum, been supporting them just for a couple of years.
Have you been down there to see that?
I haven't yet.
No, I haven't either. I would love to see that.
I would too.
Yeah.
I had 3 uncles that went to World War II.
Really? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My father and my uncle did. Yeah.
There's another Paralyzed Veterans.
Yeah. Good.
Oh, this is for Easter sales one year.
The American Legion, then.
Right. It was part of the American Legion. And I got the certificate from them. Actually, I believe that, I'm trying to remember what rank I was, but I was one of the members that joined the board. I can't remember where I was right now.
Yeah.
But I was on the board. These are just 2 more certificates from Paralyzed Veterans.
Really? Yeah. Good for you, though. That's.
I'm also a member of VFW. And a couple of others. I just can't think of them now.
Well, it sounds like you've been pretty active, and involved in things.
I tried to, yes.
Yeah, that's a good thing for sure. When did you come up to Denver from Albuquerque?
Actually, at one time, I first moved back to Collinsville, tried to make things work, but it didn't work.
Okay. Well,
There were reasons why.
yeah. Well, you liking Denver?
Yes, I do. I like it very much. I've lived here for 18 years now.
Is that right?
Well, actually, probably 19 years. I've lived in my home almost 18 years. I came up here in 2005.
Well, so you've seen the whole transition from the old VA up to the new one here.
Yes, I have.
Been part of that.
Saw my house built from the ground up.
Yeah, and that's great. That's great. So, what about after service? What kind of were you involved in any particular? Did you get another career or anything like that?
Oh yes, I did. Down in New Mexico, I worked for Command Sciences, and they were building a project called HABI, which is High Altitude balloon experiment. And they were working on lasers that would work out in outer space for the military. And that's about all I could tell you. And I was a supplier for their
Really?
parts.
That must have been pretty interesting.
It
huh?
was really a big, huge white, probably almost about as high as this ceiling
Is that right?
as it was.
Yeah. God, lasers from space. that's
Well, we're going to use them eventually. Trust me.
that's amazing. It's like and so that was down in Mexico or New Mexico.
In Albuquerque, yes.
Yeah.
I also
about-
worked for the University of New Mexico.
Okay. What'd you
Worked
do?
there. Same thing I did in the Marine Corps aviation. Well, not aviation, but supported the plumbers and all the maintenance guys
Sure.
at the school.
This was in Santa Fe, was it?
No, Albuquerque.
Albuquerque. Okay, I
Mhm.
wasn't sure. I thought. Okay, I wasn't quite sure about what was. I thought the university was in Santa Fe. Obviously not. Well, and since you've come to Denver, are you pretty much retired now, or?
Let's see. After that, I worked for the Bureau of Reclamation. After I went to Collegeville, then I worked for the Bureau of Reclamation. That's hard to say sometimes.
Yeah, it is.
Everybody, when I start saying it, everybody says, Bureau of Land Management? No.
Reclamation.
Reclamation, yeah. They're the ones who take care of all the rivers and dams, the water
Sure.
that goes through them.
That must have been pretty interesting,
Yeah,
wasn't
it was.
it? Well, geez, it sounds like you've had a lot of diverse and interesting experiences. Did you say you went to college as well?
Yes.
Tell me.
University of New Mexico, yeah.
Did you? What did you study while you were there?
Business.
Really? Okay.
Mhm.
So you got a degree in business, or
Yes, I do.
good for you? That's like you used your GI Bill.
Of course.
You betcha. All right. So, what do you think in terms of let's see, you're reflecting on your military experience? It's like how did your military service experiences affect your life in general? How do you, in terms of just shaping your whole worldview?
I think it taught me a lot. That's why I worked in the jobs that I did after I retired, because basically I did the same thing. I supported something
Hmm.
that companies needed. So that's makes me feel like I did, learned
Right.
and did something that connects to other companies as well as the Marine Corps.
So service seems to play a key role in your life then, as far as just
Yes, it does, or it did. It did
yeah,
very well in 20 plus years.
yeah. But yeah, in life lessons that you learn from your military experience, what kind of thing like discipline and I mean the Marines, I would think, be very focused, very intentional, and very disciplined. And you think that has played a key part of your life here in terms of how your whole approach to things in
Yes, it
general?
was. I still blouse my shirts.
Press your shirts and look for any gigs or whatever.
I use my cleaners now. And
yeah, no, that's great. That's like, yeah. Is there anything you miss about being in the service?
not now that I'm retired. It's I'm way past the time they can call me back in.
Yeah.
So,
Well, anything you're glad you left behind?
Beirut.
Pardon?
Beirut.
Beirut. Yeah. No. Well, I'm not even in. I'm just.
I just wanted to tell you one more
Go
thing. Well, that was another award I was meant to tell you. What was this one?
To show us that one there.
Sure.
The Commanders Club.
I was in the Commanders Club in the of Disabled American Veterans, DAV.
Nice.
This is the one I got from DAV.
Yeah, let's see. We hold that up there. Well, yeah, that's great. It's in the gold. What about these? Are those? Okay, yeah. Let's see here.
These were from. Oh, these were from the National Law Enforcement. I was also supporting them monetarily. I have two of them. 2019, 2020. I had some from 22 and 23. No, 29, 20, 21 and 22. So I received those. And
So,
last but not least,
yeah, I want to know about this book. What are you reading?
this is America's Who's Who in America. But this one comes second. These come first.
Better?
Let me give you this one. This one was in the fall of 2022 that they announced that I was in the Marquee Who's Who book that Gunnery Sergeant Ray Rodriguez, retired from the Marine Corps, United States Marine Corps. And there's a link on here that you can go to and read the whole story that I have from the time I went in the Marine Corps till pretty much past retirement and all of the different organizations I'm part of, and my motto and affiliations and education, etc.
Good for you, Ray. That's quite an honor to get that, huh? That's
yes,
like I'll have to look at that more closely when we. Yeah.
pretty much about everything we talked about. Then this is then I also was published in the Who's Who of Distinguished Professionals. So I'm also a distinguished professional.
Whoa, I'm impressed, man. when did you lose your mustache, incidentally?
Oh, I don't remember.
Was that just a temporary thing, or?
Yeah. But as you can see on page 445, you can find this in the library. You should
Really?
be able to.
Yeah.
Has everything just pretty much what it says, but a little bit more on me as well.
Well,
but they nominated and chose me as a distinguished professional. So
that's really impressive. Like, wow.
and after that, I received the
And then a
Marquee
plaque as
Who's
well.
Who publication
Yeah.
of Who's Who in America.
Yeah, no, that's well.
As well. So
yeah, good for you, sir. That's like
so I felt that I had a pretty good life. But I've recently found out I have neuropathy from my knees down to my toes.
Really?
Yeah, as you get older, you always come up with these new things.
No, God, I know.
I have also have pre-diabetes. I just found out recently, and chronic kidney disease.
And what?
Chronic kidney disease.
Really? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I guess we go on living. You know, we can't do anything about it, but take our medication.
Right. the neuropathy thing. How is that going? Is that?
I am going to a place that's called Spruce Health Group, and they are doing a monitoring the glucose, etc. You put an IV in. It's an IV fusion that they test the glucose, etc. And it's supposed to help the kidneys as well, and the neuropathy. And it seems to be getting a little better in my left leg. So
Yeah,
I go every week on Thursday.
really, yeah.
So
I know that can be really challenging to deal with that for sure. That's like a good friend of mine has a similar kind of thing. So let's see. In conclusion, here, what do you wish that more people knew about veterans and or military service?
well, what I'd like them to know is that there are thousands of people that are gay in the military, and no one really recognizes them as being part of the military, and that they are just the same as I, have performed as best as they can being in the military and doing the country of this United States of America just as well as anyone else. And they get all of these accolades as well. So don't make them like someone else. Make them a regular person, because they are. It's just that they were born that way. So please don't treat them any different.
I think that's a really important point that you're making here, and particularly coming from a gunnery sergeant, Marine gunnery sergeant, you know.
A
Like,
United States Marine gunnery sergeant that's also gay.
yeah. Yeah.
No one believes it, but I mean, my family didn't believe it at first. None of them. They say, no, you're too straight. Okay. Hey, sorry, but I am. I always have been. It just finally came out in my 30s. And that's when I was in Collinsville. I used to go over to St. Louis, and that's where I met my husband, Michael, over there. My ex-husband, I should say. I've got 3 exes. So, yeah,
3
things didn't
X's.
work out.
Yeah.
Next time is going to work out. I guarantee it.
Yeah. Those are really challenging things to deal with, you know. I know that firsthand as well. And it's like it's difficult in a culture that says either or, this or that, you know. And it's like, and we don't see the deeper reality of who or what or how we really are. And what is the need to see that in terms of, you know, it's just not a human being, but that spirit that's underneath it, you know.
Yeah, we're all human beings. And we're all made the same way. It's our mind that thinks differently. And I have been dealing with also with post-traumatic stress disorder since Beirut. I'm still working on it 40 years later. And I know some veterans, even from Vietnam, that are still working on the post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. So PTSD is real, and I think that has been my problem since 1983, and due to my marriages as well, at least the last 2.
A lot of things there for sure. You know, it's like the effects that those things that I was diagnosed with PTSD as well. I was from Vietnam period there, that era, and have dealt with that for a long time as well. So I can really appreciate what you're saying there, sir. It's like, so what would you like people to know or remember about your personal journey here? It's like,
Well, my personal journey has been a great one and also a terrible one in different ways,
no,
in different times, and different situations. I loved the Marine Corps, and I retired from the Marine Corps 20 years, 8 months, and a few days. I retired in Tustin, California, and my children did not want to leave there at all. And yes, I had some bad experiences in Beirut, Lebanon. And like I said, I've been working on it for many years. And I feel that I'm getting better little by little. If you feel that you know someone that is at the edge and wants to feel they want to kill themselves or do harm to themselves somehow, please get them to call the Veterans Hotline to help them out.
So, is there anything else that you'd like to add that we've not covered in this interview here?
I think I
Feel
pretty
free
much
to
covered.
anything you want to explore more deeply, maybe, or this is now it's for you, it's for your audience, those who are going to hear this, and and it's, we've touched upon a lot of things here that are some very deep and significant issues, I think, and
Well,
so,
I recently, excuse me, take a drink of water, coffee or something.
yeah.
One thing, I miss my son. He passed away in 2004 in that auto accident.
I'm sure that was heartbreaking.
I remember that we used to, as young as he is, actually younger than what he was, used to drive up to the lower mountains and have fun up there, parties and stuff.
Sure.
And that's where he was going, just to have fun, some parties, and that's when he got into the accident. I sent my the last two spouses. I still care for them, and I love them in a way, different ways. And I recently sent a coin. I collect coins from the military, mostly from Marine Corps, of course. And I sent my second ex a coin that says something about being the best spouse, and it had the United States Marine Corps on the edge, and the Marine Corps emblem in the middle. I don't know if she's gotten it yet because she's not communicating with me, but her daughter is, I asked her to at least let Lori know that she received it. And if she doesn't want to keep it, to give it to Lori. And I want her to keep it because I felt that she was one of the best wives that I had. Person was it? And as far as my ex-husband, I wanted him to know that, in a sense, that I still love him as well, but we had our different ways and we went our different directions. So anyhow, I love my son, even though I miss him a lot. I try to go up to Fort Collins, that's where he's buried, to see him every time I can. I have my two daughters here living in Denver, and I love them very, very, very much. I want them to know that. I have grandchildren, 11 of them, and I want each one of them to know that I love them as well, with all my heart.
Sure.
And I have two great-grandchildren that I have never seen, because my granddaughter from my son is moved to Texas, and I don't know where in Texas. It's a big state, so that I have never seen or known.
Well,
but I still love them. Yeah.
Sure. Get family.
So my son also had a son that I met only a few times when he was small.
Yeah.
Now he's 22, and I haven't seen him since.
Has your family been supportive of you, and in terms of your whole journey and I hate to use the term coming out, but in terms of your own acceptance of who you are, and,
yes, they have. Once I came out, they embraced me. No one said anything. They loved me just as much as they did before. There was no snickering or, jokes or anything.
Shaming or anything.
Or anything else. They were just the way they were before. They loved me. They didn't say anything. My mother accepted it. Of course, my mother would accept anything. She was a saint. I would think so. Um, hmm, damn it. Can't get it out. What's in there? This is my mother when she was in her 70s.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
What a beautiful woman, huh?
She was in
She
her
was.
70s and she still kept her beauty. I mean,
That's amazing. Like,
but she died of Alzheimer's.
really? Yeah, God, that's
And
really
she
difficult.
she aged like that. She
Right,
had
right.
all white hair. And so I always keep this in my wallet because
Yeah,
it's close to me. So
yeah.
I loved her the most. I have my parents, of course. So I miss her as well. I try to go see her as well when I can. Her gravesite is also in Fort Collins. So my stepdad there, he was more of a father to me than anyone
Is
else.
he still living?
No,
He's
he's
gone
also
as well.
passed.
Yeah.
So I go to Fort Collins to see my mother, stepdad, and
Your
my son.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
especially on the date they passed or their birthday. So, but as far as the Marine Corps, I felt I did a great job. I did my job in the junior course and the senior course, and as an instructor. I taught a lot of people there. And I think they learned a lot from me.
I'm sure. Well,
Beirut was an experience for me, a very frightening experience, but it was a very experience learning that sometimes you only have a day left and you never know when it's going to happen. So enjoy every day that you can to the best that you can.
Ray, thank you. It's been a pleasure and an honor to meet you, sir.
Yes,
It's
sir.
like it's like a fine man, and I'm sure a fine Marine. It's like so. Again, thanks very much. I guess
You're very welcome, sir.
and that sort of concludes this interview.